So all productions are different, but there's always a whole bunch of stuff to keep track of. We're going to outline how to make most of this stuff much easier to track by adopting a tool to bring your production into the new day. And these are concepts and ways that we've set up our own non-scripted, international production, and it's added up to a lot of save time and headaches. We're even going to share our setup with you so you could follow along during this tutorial, and then later on you could use it as a basis to set up your own production. But first we're going to say that creative documents like outlines and edit scripts and interview questions, they're just fine as is, so there's no need to change anything with them. What we're going to show you how to modernize are the ways that you plan, track, find, and finalize the nuts and bolts of a production. So a quick kind of extreme example of someone trying to find information on a typical production. We can imagine a story producer watching footage and realizes they need to email an interview subject whose identity they're unsure of. So they note the date of the footage and use that to go in and find the hot sheet, which hopefully contains the person's name. And in this case, it does. So then they head to a contact list in Google Sheets and then look for the person's name. However, it's not there because the sheet hasn't been updated in a few days. So then the story producer goes to the release folder and finds the release. They look at it, they get the person's contact information, and finally they email them. This information searching behavior happens with all people every day on a production, from story producers to production managers and post supervisors. But we're going to show you how to get to a point where you can simply search a date or a person's name or a location or anything else and see everything that you could possibly need to know about them. And it's all live updating. The thing is, you need to take a fundamentally different approach to how you organize your nuts and bolts information using a tool like Notion. So initial learning and getting set up is definitely the hardest part, but in this video we're going to teach you what Notion is, a few concepts to understand its use, and we'll share our field-tested, tried-and-true setup in Notion with you. So Notion is basically a collaborative workspace for you and your team. And there are a lot of different things that you could do with Notion, but we're going to ignore the non-essentials in this tutorial. So now it's your turn to open up your browser. So go to Notion's sign-up page and choose the free option, and you'll enter your workspace. Select Clear Templates and delete this Getting Started page. So click the link provided below and you'll end up at this page here. So you're going to go up here and you're going to click Duplicate. Okay, so this page name template has appeared in your workspace here. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to drag all of these and drop them up here. And then you could just delete that template page. And now we're ready to start. So Notion is kind of like a private website which you can organize however you want. All these items on the left are pages in the workspace that we've already prepared for you. So we've made these pages and we've set their icons to be houses, because it's in these pages where once you've built the foundation, your team is going to spend most of its time. You can see the ones with the trees are ones that we've already filled in, and the ones without a tree are blank ones that you're going to fill in later. If we go down here into what's called the engine room, you'll see 5 new pages nested inside with a different icon. And you could see it here, or you could even use this drop down and go here. So we've used a different icon because these pages are a little bit different from these house pages. These are database pages. Now, one thing real quick is that you can drag and drop to easily move pages wherever you want in your workspace, but notice that we've stored them all in one place, and that is one of the first major lessons in Notion, which is centralize your databases. We've put them in a place that we call the engine room because it's a little bit uglier down here, but this is how we make the entire machine run. So we've covered what we're calling house pages and database pages, and now we're going to talk about the last type. If you look at this database page, you can see that it looks a lot like an Excel sheet. But as we call these columns in Excel, we call them properties in Notion, which brings us to our last type of page. If you see here, as I hover my mouse over, you get this open prompt. When I open it, we're going to see all of these properties in this row displayed in a different way. This is the final type of page. This is the entry page, as we'll refer to it. And it shows all the properties tied to a single entry in this database. This is definitely the ugliest type of page, but you may not actually see these pages that often, as you can edit properties from here if you like. Note that hiding a property is something you'll do a lot, but deleting a property is something you shouldn't do that much. Because if you delete a property from this view, it's also gone from this view and it's just gone from the whole machine. So usually you shouldn't delete properties. So there are many different types of properties, and you can identify them by their icons here. This is a text property, this is an email property, and this is a phone property. Now these will get default names, but you can change them to whatever you want. So we're going to call this one, looking at all the information here, to job title. This we'll call email address. And this one we'll call cell phone. If you look at this property here, this is a select property type. And you can see that we've used it to differentiate between people who are show staff and people who are shoot subjects. Now normally on a production you'll have a staff list and you'll have a crew list, but this is the next major lesson in databases, is that you should collapse like things into as few databases as possible, and then use things like this group property to filter out what you don't need. And we're going to do that right now, and you're going to join in. So now you're going to add yourself to this database. So click New, enter your name, a title, a phone, and an email. And select Show Staff. You may be wondering about these other properties down here that we're leaving blank. Don't worry about them just yet. We'll get into those shortly. But now we're going to go make the house pages a bit more livable. So click on the staff contact list page. We want this page to serve as a contact list. So we're going to set it up that Notion automatically fetches the information that we need and hides everything that we don't. And this is a blank page in Notion. Anytime you create a page, you're going to get all this stuff down here. And this is one of the keys to mastering Notion quickly, which is knowing what you can ignore. And you can ignore these. So just click down here and you're going to type, as the prompt says, /. So these are all the possibilities that you could put on this page. But again, we got to know what we can ignore. We can ignore all of these options. Just type linked. Now you're going to select this create linked database. And this is the most useful command to know when building a workspace. Using the word create is a little confusing here, because as you'll see, we're not really creating anything new here. We're just kind of using this to reference information that's stored elsewhere. So we're going to select this. And now we can see that we get a selection of all the databases in our workspace. Select the people DB. All right, so now you can see that there's this kind of poorly formatted copy of the people DB here. But what we're trying to do is make a staff contact list here. So we could also see that a lot of these people are also shoot subjects too. And there's a bunch of properties that we don't need to see on this page. So we're going to clean this up real quick. Hover your mouse over and you'll see some more options appear. We're going to click these three dots and select filter. We're going to add a filter where group is show staff. Boom. Now we only see people on the show staff, but now we still have all this other stuff that we don't need in a staff list. So now we can hide, not delete, properties that we don't need to see in a contact list. And we can easily reorder these properties in this view to make it to however we want. Notice this little thing that says filter here. It wasn't there before, and it's there to let you know whenever you're looking at filtered data. And you could just click that text to see exactly what that filter is. So now we have this page, which we can also access from the mobile app. And it behaves just like the desktop, including this little feature to just tap a person's name to send an email or tap their phone number to call them. Now notice real quick that you could either go back to the People DB here or even click it here. And everybody's still here. We haven't deleted anybody, but we've hidden anybody that we don't need for this particular purpose. I'm going to hide this sidebar for a second here so that we can focus on this. We're going to create another way to look at the people on the staff. So once again, hover your mouse over and click this Add a View. Name it Staff Gallery. And we're going to select the gallery view type. Now, an important thing is that anytime you make a new view, the filters reset. So now we need to make the filter again where the group is Show Staff. Nice, so now we have a gallery view of everybody on the staff, which looks nice. But now we have to go into their page to see their information. Or we can make this view a bit more useful. So once again, go up to these dots, and now you're going to select Properties. And you're going to turn on any properties that are relevant to this view here. So the same ones as before: cell phone, email address, and job title. And you can see as you turn them on, they appear in the view behind this. And if you want, you could use these 6 dots to reorder them to however you want. And we could also see more people if we change the card size to small. And we just want to say here, all this making views and filters and all this stuff, you don't do this stuff every day. You do this just when you're setting up the workspace. The day-to-day stuff, once it's set up, is super easy. Anyway, now notice that everybody has a picture, but you don't. And that's just because we've dropped a picture at the bottom of their page here. So if you want, you can open up your page and just drag and drop a picture of yourself, and there it appears. So notice here, this wasn't here before, and by clicking on it, you can change between the views that you've created on this page. And one important thing to wrap your head around is if you go to the People DB, these views don't exist. They just exist where you created them. The only thing that carries over between the views is any changes to the information. So if, for instance, I want to promote myself, this is changed here, and it's changed down here. And this is the next major lesson of Notion, which people get tripped up on, is that editing how you view the information is different from editing the information itself. So now we're going to float over here and go to this Shoot Schedule page. And as we did before, we're going to click down here, type /linked, and create linked database. We're going to select Shoots DB. Now you can see that there are a lot of properties in this table. One of them allows you to attach a date, which means we can display this database as a calendar. So, add a view, name it Shoot Calendar, and select Calendar. Nice, so you can see that we have this calendar view now, but as you just saw, there's a lot more information in the Shoots DB that we're not seeing right now. So we could decide which properties might be handy to display in this new view that we've created. So click these 3 dots, select Properties, and turn on Tags. So now anybody on staff can just look at this page and have a pretty good idea of what's going on when really quickly. For tomorrow's shoot, do we have the location release for Jammy's Burger? You've probably heard something like this often. Hopefully not too often, but it happens. Now in Notion, you could just use this quick search thing here and type in Jammy's Burger and see everything associated with it. but maybe you'd like that information just served to you in the calendar view we just made. Now, if we bring back our sidebar, if you look at our databases, we have a shoot DB and a location DB. So our location DB tracks a lot of important information, but for this purpose, we're just interested in if our upcoming shoots have a location release or not. And wouldn't it be nice to just look at our shoot calendar and know that we have the releases? And the thing is, we can do this by linking our databases together. This is the last major step here. So we're going to go to the Shoots DB and insert two new properties by just clicking here, insert left, and insert left. You can see that they both default to text properties, but we're going to change them. These two symbols are super powerful in Notion. And by understanding them, your workspace will go from saving you a good amount of time to saving you an absurd amount of time. This arrow represents a property, which allows you to connect information that you have in a completely separate database to the current one you're in. So in this case, we're going to link the locations DB to the shoots. So we go and we make this a relation property, and we relate our shoots DB to our location DB. But we always need to name the property ourselves, so we'll call it location. Now that you've done that, you can kind of imagine that the location DB is just sitting in the background on this page, waiting to be accessed if you like. But let's kick it up another notch using this magnifying glass property. These type of properties are called a rollup. And this rollup can actually go into the location DB and automatically grab information to you and just serve it right up here. But now you have to configure this. Click here and notice that you have some options. These are options where this database is linked to others. We've done all of these before you got here, but we want to select the one you just made. So select location. And now you tell what property you want it to fetch. So we could easily see that the first shoots are interviews, and we know that those are happening at the studio. So we could just click studio. Boom. Now we entered this, but this just came up on its own. So we're going to fill in all the other interview ones. And now you can follow along as we link the shoots to wherever they're shooting, which should be easy to tell because the name of the shoots infers the location. So now that the databases are linked, we can make our calendar page a little more informative. So go to the shoot schedule. So we're going to turn on the property that we just made. Now you can go and look at the page and see if we have what we need for the upcoming shoots. Or if you look here, if you don't have the release for something that you've already shot. And if you want to see a release, you could go here. You want to select the location, which will bring you to the actual location DB. And then you just click on the attachment. And there's the release. So linking your information together in this way creates a snowball effect of saved work. So for example, we plan our shoots with the Shoots DB, but we leave some properties blank. And these are properties for the field producer to fill in on the day. And as you can see from their symbols, they're connected to other databases. But what you're not seeing is that all over the workspace, things are being filled in automatically. For example, as these crew members are being linked to this episode, a credits list is automatically being created. And because these shoot subjects are connected to this shoot, and one of their releases is missing, they're showing up in the missing releases page that we've made. And because this footage has been marked in transit by the AP, The editors know in their pages that they can't work with the footage just yet. So yes, there are new concepts to learn here, but once you're over the initial bump, your production will run much, much smoother. So we encourage you to poke around the rest of the workspace and figure out how we've set things up and why. If you have questions, you can reach out, and we hope this was helpful to you. Thank you.